Hi all, it's raining and miserable today, and that's made me miserable, so I thought I'd cheer myself up by sharing some artwork with you. I do a lot of photography and artwork in my spare time, such that I have, and I never share it, which is sort of makes the whole thing pointless, really. This is for a gift I did for someone, so I did a pencil sketch. And then I used basically just baking paper as tracing paper and traced that to a LinoCut block. Because it's on the paper, I was able to flip it, so the sketch is the same way as my prints. I just used watercolour and brushed it onto the back, and then just used use my hand to kind of print that onto the surface. I quite like the detail of the hand and the way it looks. Obviously there's a lot lost, unfortunately. What I really dislike in this one is the line there and these horizontal lines. I think they really don't add to this design. So because I was just painting watercolour onto the back of the LinoCut block, which I'll show you later on, I was able to use different coloured sections. I'm not overly happy with this. The blue looks a bit better, but this black hand, it's so weird and doesn't quite work. So I tried different combinations and making that a bit softer with some water. Eventually I decided that blue was the right colour for the hand, and a mixture of blue and red, sorry, sort of light blue for the hand, azure, whatever you call it, and ultramarine blue, and I think cadmium red for the dragonfly. The final one looks something like this, and I just only painted black around the hand, which I sort of regret that decision. The final product was given to someone. I can't show you it. I also gave the block away, but I will show you the other blocks. Something I like about using this, you can see that the areas that I've cut away have kind of built up the ink, and this sort of blob of ink has happened there, and it's given it this kind of darker streak effect, which I quite like. But I think the overall effect would be a lot better if I had completely voided these areas on the edge. So this is another one that I did. I think that this sort of painting with the brush was just a complete failure. It's very irritating. It doesn't work at all. I like cereal boxes as just places to put the roller down, places to work on. This is a crow that I did. Just trying different experiments. This last one is grey paint made from black and white. Now, with any kind of printing, you put your ink on your block by one method or another. Then you can print it once, then do it again, and do it again, then do it again. And as in this case, this sort of middle one actually I think looks the most interesting. You have this sort of ghostly appearance. I wasn't working off an image, this is just sort of freehand, so I don't know if it looks more like a raven or a crow. It doesn't really matter. This one at the bottom is a little bit too faint. Yeah, I've gone and done some more. I think on this one I just put the block down. You can sort of feel it sticking when you put it down, but then when you take it up again it hasn't left anything, so that's sort of pointless. These are actually quite good prints, I think, considering I'm using gouache. I believe for these ones I mainly pressed around the crow itself, and not around the edge, and not too much in these kind of white space areas. So I decided in January that I needed a roller. I brought a 102 millimeter rubber roller. You can see that when you're using the roller, you get much more uniform coverage. I actually like the sort of partial cuts there. I think that's quite interesting. But again, with this gouache, I found it very difficult to actually cover the piece and cover the roller. Because it's water-based, it has surface tension effects like that of water, so you're trying to make a nice even fill and it wants to kind of stick to itself and bead up. This is the roller I got. It's just a 102 centimeter rubber roller. Nice feature is it has this stand so you can put it down without getting ink absolutely everywhere. This is the bird, the ambiguous crow or raven. You can see that once you get oil paint into these grooves, you really can't clean it. It's going to be like that for good. I also bought one of these rectangular kind of mixing palette things, so it's very useful to have a place to mix the paint and try to get an even layer, although as I've said that can be a bit difficult. So these are some experiments with the gouache using the roller, and the effect that I mentioned is very prominent here. I'll bring you in as close as I can. So you can see these kind of streaks. You can actually see that when it's on the roller as well. You try and sort of smooth it out and then it will stick to itself because of the surface tension, and you get these effects which, well, maybe you do like them, but it's not what I was going for. It's just the same one in black. This is the back of the crow. These blocks are just speedy car, speedball, whatever it's called. So with this one I tried to add some kind of perspective with these nonsensical shapes, then a bit of a horizon, a bit of a sky, this figurative sun, and again 2 crows. It's okay. I mean, it is only a test. The trying to clean these parts is essentially impossible. What I've done is run the tap and gone in with a paintbrush and tried to get in there, but it is a bit of a fool's game, really. So these prints are more or less complete failures. You might just be able to make out the design. So I bought this V tool on eBay, which, by the way, this was disgusting. It was rusted. I left the blade part in a tub of salt, which sort of leaches off the rust. Ditto the brass ring. I very carefully tried to sand down the handle, which smelled disgusting, and I re-oiled it. It says Mitchell, England. I was able to use this small V tool to do the marks, but with these particular conditions, it just wasn't ever going to transfer. I then went in with a deeper tool and enlarged them, which is why you can see this so clearly. This is a copy of the illumination from William Blake's London. I can't remember what this material's called, but it's a bit thinner and a bit more rigid, a little bit stiffer than the other material, but still, you know, still flexible enough to work with. These are the headings from the Outer Dark video. I just did these very quickly. I wasn't sure how to make the transition, so I just came up with this. Now these are a much more successful print. These are oil which I rolled on the back. So I just did a bead of red and a bead of ultramarine blue and rolled it across. This is a bigger block. Here it is. I drew some lines on the back and just sort of made some geometric things. I didn't have any particular logic here. I mean, you can put this upside down and it works just as well, really. Maybe not. But nonetheless, this is just my attempt to be very free and open and just kind of go for it, which I think is an important skill. And with the oil paint, you can see we don't have the parasitic streaking. I did get incomplete coverage, but honestly I don't think that matters too much for this. So I did that again. I'm not quite sure what I did differently, maybe just more oil or better pressure. The William Blake one is still a failure. It sort of looks like the Cosmos in a way. I'm quite happy with this. What I don't like is these large white areas. What, in retrospect, I should have done is done a thin wash on the back to do a sort of background colour, then gone over with this, because these big white sort of circles are a real eyesore for me. There's the other two. So if you have these blocks, you might as well go for them again and again, because you can reuse them ad infinitum. I quite like the purple crow. This one I didn't have proper pressure in the middle. I was a bit more ambitious with the colours here. I like this one a lot more, so I got some red in the white space and it just stuck. And because the nature of that sticking, it's a big textured glob. See that there? You can see that's really proud of the paper. And that's the second print from this. I think I prefer the second one a bit. It makes it look sort of starry and astral. So this is a sketch I did. I wanted a more claustrophobic design in a way. So I just came up with this. And you can see that I was trying to think about what lines I could create, and I sort of did a smaller one there. I wasn't sure what should go here. I think I tried to draw some jewellery. These are the same experiments, so I missed the page, that's why I went back to that. This is my absolute favourite one. This is the first speedy car block that I ever drew, cut. And I think this one just worked best. That's a later one that I did on the same block. I only used the top half. That failed. There's our friend the crow again. That's actually on the back of this guy. So for this less successful one, I tried to draw a mouse hiding behind a tree root. And then there's an owl here who's standing on top of a large wedge of cheese. I thought that was amusing. This didn't particularly work. This one is this sort of lighthouse on an island motif, which I quite like. This just having nothing there, complete blank space, I don't think works. But even in that exception, I really like it. The lines are just perfectly crisp. And I think that image carries over rather well. In this instance, this is my attempt to do the sketch. I diluted the gouache, so I didn't have access to my oil paints. That's just a complete failure. These are some more recent ones. So you can see that it's essentially impossible to remove the brush strokes. I actually quite like the look of the brush strokes on this one. I think if you're going to try and attempt this technique, then really you need to embrace the brush strokes. There's some multicoloured pieces. These didn't work so well. There's some I did in this bright yellow. Now I had recut this to add a bit more interest and detail in the skull, head, whatever it is, which I quite like. Here I did a background, and then it's actually reversed the printing process, so the yellow ink stuck in the voids. There it is. Which I quite like this. So looking at this, I quite like the design. The prints, because I've tried to do them in gouache instead of oil, I don't like so much, but when I have the opportunity I'll do that in oil. These are just some kind of test patterns I did, which I should have done those first really, but nonetheless. And once again, you see this effect where if I paint thickly and then try and sort of vaguely wipe away what's on top, you actually get kind of the negative of what you expect to get from the LinoCut process. So there's this block, and you can see that the paint kind of stayed in the gaps and actually was printed, which is quite interesting. So these are more recent. I recut the London illumination, but I really need the oil paint to get it to work properly. I quite like the way these characters look. It's the same thing. So this is the same one again, and then the crow, which I seem to keep returning to. For the crow I did black in the middle, and then I just went around the edge with some vermilion hue, which seems to have weirdly split into different colours. Hue paints are kind of a scam, but I actually quite like it. I also like the lines here where the background wasn't all cut away. This was the same attempt, but it didn't quite work. I still like the result nonetheless. It's a sort of Lovecraftian, murky background. And this is the cereal box that I've been using to put my roller down and things. It's very useful to have surfaces that you can work on. You can get vague ideas of the things I've done. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my little art show and tell. Thank you all very much for watching, and goodbye.